What's up? It's Bonnie from Stand Atlantic, and you're listening to the Rock Sound Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Rock Sound Podcast. I'm Will Cross, junior editor at the magazine. Joining me, Tamsin Wills.
Hello.
Hello, all right.
Yeah, I'm having a pretty good week. I feel like it's the weekend already, but it's not.
Oh, no, it's been a long week for us, I think. Jack, how you feeling?
Every day's a weekend to me. Will,
oh,
so
yeah. I knew you'd do that.
Yeah.
So I let you in.
Yeah.
Every day. Woo!
Only good vibes. So follow us on SoundCloud, subscribe to us on iTunes. Last week we had the monumental chat with Danny Warsnop and Ben Bruce of Ask Alexandria. One of my all-time favourites. Crazy, crazy stuff. We hope you all enjoyed the little outtake as well. It's also now on our Instagram. Super, super good stuff. Never going to recover from that, I don't think. And also the first of our RS Classics interviews with Newfound Glory, Chad and Jordan, talking everything. They're amazing, influential sticks and stones. Super, super cool. But this week, it's Mr. Patrick Stump. We're so excited. We had Pete a couple of months ago to talk about the last of the real ones. So we've gone and done it again, but this time with Patrick to talk about brand new single Hold Me Tight or Don't from the forthcoming Mania. So excited. And we've also got Ryan Locke from Seaway, who have released one of our favourite albums of 2017 in Vacation. So I spoke to him about everything to do with that album, being fearless and bringing in all kinds of things to change up the pop punk game. Tamsin.
Slam Dunk have only gone and announced their first wave of acts, and I am living for this. Jimmy Eat World are headlining, and joining them will be State Champ, Sleeping with Sirens, Taking Back Sunday, 4 Year Strong, and Trash Boat. I am super stoked for that, guys.
Stoked.
Oh, mate.
Waterparks have announced a UK tour for March 2018 because apparently they just can't get enough of us. Paris have announced a US tour for February and March 2018. Of Mice and Men have announced new album Defy and dropped new single Warzone. There are rumours that Alex Gaskarth will appear on the new Against the Current album, which I am keeping my fingers crossed for because that is going to be so good.
Big.
And finally then Fall Out Boy have dropped a new song and video, Hold Me Tight or Don't, and announced a European arena tour.
Yes. Are we saying banger?
Oh, it's a total banger.
Yeah, I think we can agree it's a banger.
You said that with so much, like, it was so happy that it's a banger.
Well, I mean, like...
Of course it's a banger. It's a Fall Out Boy song.
True.
It's a case. Well, we're going to talk all about this next.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get deep in. Will,
okay.
Don't poke the bear.
Right. Cool. So to lead in, Mr. Patrick Stump. So excited to do this. So we spoke to Pete, as I said, a few months ago about the last of the real ones. Super enlightening, amazing chat. This week we are chatting to Mr. Patrick Stump all about Hold Me Tight or Don't. As we say, absolute banger. Spoke to him all about the song, how it came together, and also, of course, they finished their new album, Mania, which is coming in January 2018. Super exclusive stuff. So here we go, strap in. Patrick Stump talking all things Hold Me Tight or Don't and Mania. So with Hold Me Tight or Don't, it's another total sonic surprise, which is really, really exciting. It's got links to the songs that have come before, but it's something different altogether again. Take us inside that song in particular. How did it come together?
Well, so Pete has been for years kind of, it's funny, I think I'm kind of an old soul at heart, so I'm always kind of digging back through older records and older stuff, and Pete has this just visionary thing. He's always chasing, he's always bringing me new music, you know. And one of the things that has been a kind of funny meetup for us is that we're both really, really big reggae fans. And that's kind of funny because I'm probably much more traditionalist, you know, older stuff, and he's much more, you know, every time there's something new, he's playing for me, whatever. And so we've been kind of playing with it for years, trying to figure out how we could, you know, you want to play stuff that you want to listen to, you know, so how do we get any of that in what we do, you know? And so I wrote the hook for that song. I must have demoed, gosh, there was like a 2-week period where I wrote like 30 songs or something. And And it was this one that I threw in there, you know, and sent off to Pete and the band, you know, hey, what do you think of this? And no one commented. And I was like, really? I like that one. Okay, whatever. I guess, you know, can't win them all. And right towards the end of the record, somebody's like, hey, what's this? Where was this? And I was like, what do you mean? I sent it to you like a month ago. Like, whatever. You didn't notice? And so it kind of took on life from there. But yeah, it was just kind of me experimenting with, I don't know, kind of almost dancehall reggae stuff. So.
Amazing, yeah, because you can definitely hear that, and I mean as well, there's kind of a slight Latin influence on it as well. And I mean, I spoke to Pete a couple of months ago when the last of the Real Ones dropped, and he was saying that, you know, he's particularly fascinated in those sides of music and kind of how they're translating into the modern day. So is that something that you really wanted to incorporate into this song in particular?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, it's funny. Everybody's talking about, you know, I don't know, like, look, I live in Los Angeles, you know, right? Like at the moment, and whenever you're at a stoplight, you know, you're hearing, you know, I don't know, some guys blasting metal and some guys blasting, you know, trap music and some guys blasting reggaeton, you know, whatever, and it's this big cacophony of all these mixes of music, you know, genres and things. And I feel like that just felt natural. You know what I mean? It just felt like something that it wasn't like reaching for it. It wasn't like you know, it was weird because it just kind of came out, you know, we just kind of wrote it and it just happened very naturally, very comfortably. And then afterwards I'm like, oh goodness, is everyone going to hate this? You know, whatever. But you know, because it's one of those things. I love it. I'm like so excited about it. But you know, I'm, you know, Pete's much braver than I'm always the one like, oh, I don't know though. I don't know if, you know, I don't know if people will love this. You know? So, but yeah. Anyway, so that was I kind of lost the question in there. But,
no,
I guess we were talking about the background and inspiration for it, I guess. So yeah, but it's kind of, I guess it's me playing around with those things, and then Pete, you know, going, yeah, no, man, this is the right thing to do. Trust me.
Awesome, yeah, because as well, you know, I kind of touched on earlier that this song and the three that have come before it, they've all been quite different sonically, and it sounds like you're going to some very creatively kind of fearless places. I mean, is that something that you've done across the Mania record as a whole? Yeah. I'd say this record is probably, I don't know if I'd say fearless, but it's definitely song to song. It's weird. You said something about there's a thread that ties them all together. You kind of recognize something that feels like the same album, but they are really, you know, the points on the map are all over the place. You know, it's very different. And I don't know, in a lot of ways, I think there's something thematically that it just feels really right to us. We're able to now put out a record and not stop ourselves and go, hey, wait, does this sound like our last thing? Does this sound enough like our last record? That kind of stuff. You know, I think like we don't need to play that game ever anymore. So I think it really is more about like, do we like this song? Does this sound right? You know, do we like this lyric? Do we like this vocal? That kind of stuff. So yeah, the record definitely bounces around. It's definitely a very textured thing as a whole. Oh, so. Man, I can't wait to hear it. I mean, in terms of how left field the record goes as well, I mean, when I spoke to Pete, he was saying that Young and Menace, you know, at that point was maybe looking like the most left field song. Is that kind of how that's carried out as more stuff's been recorded, or like how left field does the record go? I mean, I never know. I never know what people are how left field people think things are. You know, I mean, I think that's one of the problems of being an artist is that you think you're doing something and that you think you're doing one thing and then the audience thinks you're doing something completely different. That happens on a regular basis, you know, where I'll write something that I think is really, really, you know, up the middle pop and people are like, well, that's really wild. Or I write something that I think is really, you know, really wild. And they're like, oh yeah, that sounds kind of, you know, that sounds like your last thing, whatever, you know. So you never really have any concept of it, I think. So it's hard for me to say for sure what, you know, if that is
the biggest difference. You know, when I look at a song like Young and Menace versus a song like Real Ones, right? I don't know if people, you know, to me they sound tremendously different. I don't know what our audience thinks, right? But I will say that in terms of the seed of each song, I think they are all really, really different songs. It's a pretty wide net. You know, I'd say one of the more adventurous records we put out.
Amazing. Because as well, you had the kind of the split sessions in that Pete was saying that Young and Menace and Champion kind of came from the first sessions, and then these have come from the last of the Real Ones came from the newer sessions. Is Hold Me Tight the same deal with that? Is that much more of a recent song?
Well, it's weird. That one's really funny because it's maybe one of the oldest pieces of song that made it to the record. Like I said, I kind of demoed a bunch of songs, you know, for everybody. I was just on this roll where I was writing a bunch of little ideas, and I demoed that one pretty early on in the process, and no one really noticed it. But it wasn't until the kind of reassessment after we pushed the record back that you know, the guys kind of found that song again and were like, hey, what's this, you know? So it's kind of both. It kind of straddles the line where it was, you know, it was you know, being recorded at the same time as you know, as Champion and Young and Menace, but then it didn't really take on any life until long after, until like right before the record was done. So
amazing. So as well, because with the of course the release date being changed and that sort of thing, and now us coming to that point, and you know, the album being nearly done and that sort of thing, was that a difficult decision, or looking back, are you very proud and pleased that, you know, you were brave enough to make that decision? And you know, Pete was saying that there's nothing worse than having to promote someone you don't believe in, kind of thing. So you know, was that a really kind of, were you really pleased looking back?
Oh yeah, no, I'm so pleased because I mean, one of the things is that, like, I used to work at a record store, used record store. I worked at two record stores, like a mall chain store, and then I worked at a used record store. And the thing about the used store that was so brutal was that in the area that I was working, in the suburb that I was in, the only stuff that people brought in, it wasn't like you were getting, you know, it wasn't like you'd be a vinyl collector and wanting to go there. It was all the records after the band lost it, you know, after the band kind of gave up and stopped trying. So I know those records intimately, right? Like that was a big part of my youth was stocking shelves full of albums that no one wanted anymore. It was the record store of misfit toys, you know? And so to me, that's a thing that you're better off as an artist putting out nothing than putting one of those records out, I think. And not to say that we weren't caring, but when I had any hint of doubt about the record, I was like, no, we can't do this. You know, it's better off. Again, you're way better off never putting anything out than you are putting out that bad record that, you know, is just gonna, that, you know, 10 copies are gonna choke up the used record bin. So.
Yeah, definitely. In that sense, then, do you have the more recent sessions been very positive experiences then, in that, you know, you've really looked at the songs and you've really kind of been honest with each other, and that, you know, this needs to be absolute top notch before we put it down, basically, before we record it? Have they been very positive in that sense? Oh yeah, they've been so positive. The crazy thing, I was saying this a little bit earlier, is that the record, one of the ways that I knew the record wasn't right was because we weren't fighting about it. Everyone was kind of just like, yeah, this is good, this is kind of fine. And nothing's good and kind of fine in art. Everything should be something that you either love or hate, right? And between the four of us, we were maybe getting along too well earlier on. So it's kind of funny, ironically, there's a certain type of positivity that we found in disagreeing with each other, because when we you know, pushed the release date and then we went back and kind of reworked it, we got more into those little arguments, which I think that makes a better record. I can hear it. I can hear on a record when no one argued, you know, you can just tell when it was like, it's like, you know, you ever listen to, I'm a huge Prince fan. I kind of went all in on Prince. And when I was in high school, I pretty much listened to, you know, everything he ever put out, right? And one of the things that's really funny about Prince is that you can tell no one ever argued with him, right? So when you listen to his stuff, right?
So there are these amazing peaks, just the best music you've ever heard. And then there are these moments, they aren't bad, but they're just like these weird time capsule moments, you know? And I think that was a thing that, you know, that's the value of having a band, is you kind of get this other thing where everybody kind of moves it together, and you don't necessarily have those time capsule songs. Every song has to make everybody happy, you know, or make everybody feel something, you know. And I think we got that feeling a lot more on the second round of stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny you say that, actually, because Pete said the same thing. I mean, in that sense,
really?
that, yeah, which is really interesting. I mean, in that sense as well, but that kind of that kind of led to us having.
It's funny. I didn't realize how big the arguments were. But yeah.
It's funny because we it kind of led to us having a bit of a chat about how fast moving the industry is now, and that, you know, it's it can be quite important to adapt to that, you know. And he was saying about, you know, the idea of playing around with kind of dropping, like you guys have been doing, kind of dropping songs when they're done, you know, kind of like DJs or hip hop artists were doing, things like that. Yeah. So has that been very exciting with this album? And does it feel like you're really kind of breaking new ground in terms of what you're doing, especially with the style of music on each song, and also just how you're releasing it? Has that been very exciting in that sense?
I don't know if we're breaking ground or anything. I just know that it is very exciting. It's a little scary, because I think that's one of the great things about the band is that I would say, in terms of methodology, I'm a little bit more of a traditionalist, and Pete's definitely more of a futurist. You know, in the way that, you know, I would pour over a song for years if I could. I have, you know. Whereas Pete has this kind of urgency and this sudden nature to. I was telling a story the other day about Thanks for the Memories. When we recorded that song, I was still planning on being in the studio for, you know, another 10 hours or something. And Pete gets up and leaves. And I'm furious, and I send him all these angry texts. I'm like, "Where'd you go? What's the deal?" And he texts me back. He's like, "I thought it sounded perfect. I thought we were done. So I left." You know, like whatever. And I think that's the thing that drives the band, is that, or, you know, and one of the many things that drives the band is that interplay where, you know, I'm one of those guys that, you know, I can get lost in the details, and Pete is able to just see the whole thing. And, you know, and it kind of pushes me in a lot of ways. Like, so both songs, both Young and Menace and Champion, that came out, you know, early on in the production process, they were maybe finished for a matter of hours before they were out.
Wow.
You know, like it was so it kind of, as a you know, writer or whatever, as a composer, it's kind of this challenge to let it go, you know, because once it's out, you know. I could George Lucas it and go back, and but you can't really, you know. So
yeah, no, definitely. Cause in that sense, and that sort of that letting go and kind of allowing yourself to let go of the songs. With the release date coming up now, you know, it's just over 2 months away. Are you really excited? Are you kind of finally at that point now where you're ready for the world to hear Mania in its entirety?
Yeah, it's a good record, man. That's one of the things that you know, look, and you never know. People always say, "Oh, you know when you have a hit, or you know when you don't," whatever. That's nonsense. You never do. You never have any idea when you. I mean, you have to be. It's kind of blind luck, you know, to a certain extent. All I know is I really like it, and I'm really excited about it. And it's been, and we are really excited about it. I think all four of us have felt at various times on this record that this is our. It's one of our best records, you know, in a lot of ways. And I hope people feel it that way, because it feels like that to us, you know? So yeah, I'm definitely excited. And it's kind of this waiting game of like, I'm kind of impatient. I want it out now. I want people to hear it, you know?
Amazing. Yeah. It's just, Mania is going to be wild, right?
I mean, we're at a point now, because we got the track listing as well last week, when like, Fall Out Boy are like, they're such a meme now, and I love the fact that Fall Out Boy are memeing themselves and just and just living for what is now. Like, even on when they did the fidget spinners, like they said about the llamas as seen in memes, like genius. And we've had like 5 tracks out of the 10 now, which are going to appear on it, and every single one is so different and so eclectic. And now that we've got Hold Me Tight or Don't, which is like after the step of Last of the Real Ones, which was kind of more of like a dance floor filler. This is like the same, but like a different dance floor.
Yeah.
This is like an actual, like, rather than pump your fists, it's like proper footwork.
Hip shaking feel.
Oh yeah, like 3 hours of salsa.
I have a really nice image of you in my head right now with like a really snazzy silk shirt on, just like, and a light up dance floor.
What?
But
ones
like,
with the ruffle.
Yeah,
Like.
and like some nice black jazz shoes, and the new Fall Out Boy song is just playing, and like everyone's just in a circle around
yes.
you while you're like spinning around.
We are going to make this happen. We were talking before it recording about wanting to DJ as the Roxanne podcast DJs. That is going to happen, Jack, right? If we do that?
I cannot wait. Like, Will on the decks just going, and if everyone could please clear the dance floor before the very special performance
Jack
going
Rogers.
ahead. Jack just sachets in. I can be like the red dress emoji girl. You can like twirl me around to the new Fall Out Boy
Well, this
song.
has gone way out of control.
Right. I mean, let's just say I'm neither going to confirm nor deny that I would love to wear a ruffled shirt and dance to the new Fall Out Boy song with everyone clapping around me, like the Dance Dance video, but like in 2017.
Yes.
We'll make it happen, Jack. Don't worry.
Fair.
Gonna happen.
But with this song, it was another surprise when it came out, and like it was how Patrick and Pete, like Pete a few weeks ago and Patrick now, just talking about the different influences that they've got going on. And like this, it's so relevant, like this song, in terms of like, for like a Fall Out Boy fan, it's nothing's a surprise now, they go anywhere. But in terms of like actual pop music, in terms of what they want to achieve with this album, it's like bang on.
Yeah.
Like it's exactly where they need to be right now.
It's a legendary band who are, absolute classic band, legendary band, whatever you want to call it. They're so far into their career now, done so much, but they're still continuing to push that envelope, and that's so rare and so special. You agree, Tamsin?
Yeah, for sure. And like, I love. Like, obviously we've had Pete on kind of talking about the album, and hearing Patrick's side as well. It kind of is like two different people but talking about the same thing, but just in a different way. And like, Patrick was like, he's like the kid at school. He's just like, I wrote this song and I think it's quite good, but I don't think anyone's going to like it. And then Pete comes in and is just like, it's a banger! Let's get it out there!
Yeah, I love how they overlap each other.
Yeah.
Like, it's like they're like the same person almost, but like with two different sides. It's amazing. Yeah, exactly. That. Thanks for the memories, little sort of exclusive story as well. It was thrown in, like you say. Amazing.
I just had no idea they were both such big fans of reggae.
I mean, if a band can keep on bringing up new bits of information like that so often, that's why they're still in the world and still relevant to
Mania's
everyone.
just going to be a big old box of tricks. Isn't it?
It is. Yeah, never a dull moment. And their show at Electric Brixton in January.
Ridiculous.
Mate.
Walk on heads.
That's it, man. You know it.
And then, like...
And then a little bit of salsa.
And the dancing.
No, I was going to say, now they're doing that, and then like, then they'll do the O2, you know. Like,
it's just like...
Just a gentle step up.
Just pop across the river and play to like everyone in London. So, cannot wait.
Special band, banger, more on Mania as it comes. Cannot wait. What a band. Jack.
It's listener questions. Yeah. So, Mulhern.Hannah has said, who are the most underrated band? Which is a mad question, like, because there's so many bands who are typically underrated. But for me, I'm going to go a little bit left field, and it's a band who don't really exist anymore. Who, if I remember correctly, Rock Sound way back in the day gave them a 10 out of 10 on their last album.
Was it you?
No, it wasn't me. I didn't. No. This was like when I was like an avid reader rather than like a cog in the machine.
Icon.
Back in the day.
An icon. And it's the band Renoa, who produced such like, the best way to put it is heartbreaking like soundscapes of just like 8-minute epics of just noise which could move mountains, with just like the most heart-wrenching and heartbreaking of vocals and lyrics over the top. So if there's a comeback on, I'll be there.
Nice.
I was stuck between two bands who both released their debut albums at the start of this year, and both were equally great. And I genuinely can't choose between the two, so I'm gonna give two because I can. And those bands are A Will Away and Can't Swim.
Shout.
Banger shout.
Yeah.
Simply put, like they're both such good bands. Can't Swim are on tour with Creeper in December, so if you're going to that tour, make sure you get in early to go and watch Can't Swim. They are so good live. I saw them play London with Boston Manor at the Boston Music Rooms, and they were so good. They were so good, and the album is just flawless. And it's like A Will Away. It's pure emo vibes, and it's a proper like driving soundtrack. Like I'll just stick it on in the car if I've got a long drive, and it just takes you from start to end, and then you repeat it, and it's so good. And like the types of songs I really like are ones that you can imagine live, you like screaming or singing along to it with like your fist in your head. Those are the best types of songs. The ones that send a shiver up your up your spine.
Staying in.
Up your spine.
A Will Away's Here Again is just like, it's that song for me. And like Can't Swim, the entire album pretty much does that for me. So yeah, like if you haven't checked out those bands, please do.
Great shout. Yeah. Here Again by Will Away is so good. I love that album. I am going with also a band that are no longer a band, Funeral for a Friend. For me, I raved about Your Demise a few weeks ago, and I guess maybe they're kind of neck and neck for me personally in this, but I think they're the best lost band. They've influenced so many bands. I mean, if you don't know them, if you're into pretty much any band across our scene that's kind of come up in the past 5 years or so, check out Casually Dressed Deep Conversation or Hours. Just absolute bangers for days. So many different styles, huge choruses. Honestly, anyone listening to this podcast, I can't imagine you listen to those two albums and not like them. I just feel it's such a shame that we were talking about Fall Out Boy earlier and, still doing all these things. I think it's such a shame that we don't have Funeral for a Friend anymore. And check it out, honestly, Funeral for a Friend, one of the best bands to have ever done it.
Sick. Bands for life, 5544. Respect. Asked us what our fave album of 2006 was, and simple, Black Parade for me.
Knew it was coming.
Because I remember going out on the day, like because this was before like bands could put up songs like online and do that. So all there was Welcome to the Black Parade, and I went and I bought it for £9.99. Got home, put it on my CD player, and played it 10 times in a row, and was just like blown away. And I'm still blown away now. Like when that beeping comes in and the acoustic guitar all the way through to like Famous Last Words, it's just ridiculous. It doesn't get much better than that. And it was 11 years ago, and long.
I'm going to go with Taking Back Sunday's Louder Now, simply because Make Damn Sure is still the ultimate bop of the century. And just like you, Jack, I remember being on holiday in Cornwall with my mum and going to the HMV, which is very difficult to find at that time in Cornwall. Going to HMV and buying Louder Now and literally just spending my entire holiday not listening to anything else. Like still to this day, you put it on, you're just like, yes. When every song comes in, it's such a good album.
I couldn't agree more, because funnily enough, I've got both of your answers as my answer. So yeah, Taking Back Sunday Loud Now, My Chemical Romance and Black Parade. Like, yeah, just to add to this kind of like nostalgia fest with the CDs. Yeah, I mean, I remember going and buying both on CD, straight in the Walkman, straight on my hi-fi at the time, and I listened to both so much that I wrecked both discs. Like the middle bit of the disc cracked because it went around so much.
Yeah, I got a few CDs like that.
Yeah, just brutal. But like both those albums, like you guys have said, just perfect. Total classics, influenced thousands of bands, total bops and bangers for days. You just can't mess with them.
Just think that we might be able to hear some of Louder Now at Slam Dunk next year.
Oh,
I'm so excited just thinking about it.
I mean, I'm losing my voice now because just thinking about it. Oh, it's a write-off.
It is even on the podcast, it's a write-off.
And final question, Saint _ what's her name, asked if it was 2007, God forbid, what would your go-to emo song be? Simple. Secret Valentine, We the Kings.
Remembering Sunday, all-time low.
Fall Out Boy, Hum Hallelujah.
Huge!
Big shouts.
I'm going to listen to all 3 of those songs.
And do a little cry.
Yeah.
Love it. So Spotify playlist, follow us on Spotify, an updated rock sound chart, of course, of Mice and Men, and now at the top with their new banger, Warzone, ushering in their Defy era. Aaron Pauley sounding absolutely mighty. Our Scuzz TV show is also on daily, along with our new issue. Check that out on daily on Scuzz TV. Check out all new bangers from the bands in the current magazine. Now, interview 2. Seaway, right. In terms of albums that have been on in our office the most this year, Vacation. This album has honestly, talking about spinning these albums and destroying discs, so we listen to them so much. If this was, obviously it's a digital release, but if this was a CD, it would be wrecked by now. Vacation by Seaway is one of the best pop punk albums I've heard in years. It defies genres, it defies what pop punk can be. It's fearless in that sense. So I took that to vocalist Ryan Locke and talked to him all about the album and how they're completely revitalising the pop punk revolution. So yeah, here we go. Ryan Locke from Seaway on the banger that is Vacation. To kick off, as I say, Vacation, one of our favourite albums of the year. Did you have any hint of what a step up? No, absolute pleasure. Like, did you have any hint of like what a step up you guys were making in the studio, or did it just all flow very naturally?
I mean, I think like that's always the end game, is like taking the, a big step up. Like I thought Colorblind was a big step up too, and like maybe everyone else didn't think that, which is fine, totally fine, But when we were making Vacation, like that's the idea. So like, we're going to take an even bigger step on this one, and hopefully, the fans and everyone else will understand that. And so I think like we had an idea that it was awesome, but I think we think that everything we make is awesome, so it's hard to say like, yeah, we knew that this was going to be a big step up, because like we just hope that everything we're doing is taking it to the next level, So, I mean, I think, yeah, we hoped that it was, but it's tough sometimes, Like I said, I thought Colorblind was like an awesome step for us, and like it did well. I'm not saying like it was a bad record or anything. It did well, but like I think, at the end of a cycle, you always want to be further than you actually are. So when we were making Vacation, it was definitely like, okay, let's like, like really give it everything we got. Cause I guess maybe we thought we did on Colorblind, and maybe we didn't, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it didn't translate as well to the fans as we had hoped. But I think, definitely on Vacation, we nailed that one on the head, in my opinion.
Yeah, man, definitely. Because, I mean, yeah, talking to Colorblind, I mean, like, I love Colorblind as a record. And, I mean, songs like Goon on there and Big Deal and things like that. Did you kind of want to take what you started on those songs with Vacation and then just kind of push them in all kind of as far as they could go, essentially? Did you want to kind of see where you could take the Seaway sound?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, I mean, yeah, we started off as a pop punk band, and obviously we still are, or, I guess you'd have to say we still kind of are a pop punk band, but we've always been about trying to explore like new sounds, exploring new like influences, and not just like making a record that front to back sounds the same. Like, I think, both those records that we're talking about, I think, are very dynamic. They have a lot of different vibes from song to song, and so yeah, I think we kind of just picked apart, the cool aspects of Colorblind, and then just tried to build on that even further with Vacation.
Yeah, for sure. Because, in terms of the songs across Vacation, I mean, you've got a song like Something Wonderful, which is this super fun kind of pop punk banger. But then you've got a song like Neurotic, which has all these kind of 90s influences on it. And it's just, there's so much going on across the record. So did you kind of want to delve, kind of what you've just said, did you kind of want to delve into all kinds of influences that you guys have as a band? Yeah,
that's exactly it. I mean, like, we definitely like wanted to keep all the Seaway fans that we already have. Like, we weren't going to take a complete 180 or 360 or what have you, like we wanted to like keep it Seaway, but also kind of introduce where we're trying to go as a band as well, with songs like Lula, songs like Neurotic, where they're a bit more, 90s, alternative, like pop rock influence, I want to say. I don't know. It's tough to like slap genres on each, song to song, but like, I think that's kind of where we're trying to grow as a band, is getting a bit more, like away from the poppy punky sound, and kind of growing with the fans that have been growing with us, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like in that sense, then, did it feel like you weren't really playing to any kind of rule book? It was just kind of like, you know, seeing what came out, and if it was cool, you guys just kind of went with it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I think, yeah, we were just kind of playing with everything, playing with, you know, some more, you know, rock sounding songs, poppier sounding songs. There's like, you know, obviously some more emo sounding songs on it. And so, yeah, I think we just kind of tried to do, I don't know, not tried to do everything, but just tried to, you know, I guess we have a lot of different influences as a band, you know, from member to member and just like as a band as a whole, you know? So I think we just basically just tried to play with all of those influences, and that's kind of how Vacation came together.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, like you mentioned, Luda on the Beach, and that, especially that song's very unique. You know, I mean, like I can't think of any other song released this year that sounds like that song. And I mean, I think that applies to the record as a whole as well. And I mean, in that sense, do you think it's important to make a unique sound and kind of try and get your sound as unique as possible, and like you say, kind of try as many different things as you can with it? You know, especially in this day and age with things being so instant, and you know, people having to release music at such a fast rate. Do you think that's really important?
I think it is, yeah. I think, I don't know, I think there's a lot of bands that are really good at that, and I think there's a lot of bands that kind of just keep putting out the same record, and, you know, either band, you know, it could work for either bands, you know, so I'm not really knocking either way, but I think for us, like, we've been at it for a while, we've been touring for quite a while, and, you know, we need something to, like, set ourselves apart, and I think that, you know, making a unique, dynamic, interesting sounding record is something that's going to help us a lot. You know, like obviously we just put it out a month ago and it's been going well, but I think, you know, even moving forward once, you know, we're touring more and getting more people to listen to it, I think that's going to help us a lot, you know, because, and like one of the things you notice too, which is like, I think the coolest thing about the record is so many people have different favorite songs, you know, it's not like everyone's favorite song is the single or something like that, you know, like so many people pick like, I've seen tweets about like, oh, favorite song is, you know, this song or this song. And it's just like all people have named like almost every song. So it's really cool. You know, when it's not just like, oh, this is the song on the record. Like there's so many songs that so many different people gravitate to or relate to, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And that's amazing to hear. I mean, in terms of unleashing these songs live as well since the record came out, has that been really exciting? Has it kind of like made the set feel really dynamic and kind of like, as you say, people have been reacting to so many different songs across the record? Like how's that been, you know, to see fans reacting?
It's been amazing. Like, so yeah, we started putting out singles in August, right? So we went to Australia and it was like our first time in Australia. So they got like good reactions, but it was also like our first time there, you know, so people still wanted to hear the old stuff as well. But then, you know, we did an American tour and now we're on a Canadian tour, and, you know, the album had a bit more time to like kind of marinate and sit with everyone. And, it's been going really well. It's really cool to see from city to city, like different new songs getting different reactions and stuff, you know, it's not just like this one gets the best reaction and then this one gets second best. It's like, it's kind of different every night, which is really cool to see.
Oh man, that's so awesome.
We also like, yeah, on that too, like it was really hard for us to pick like what songs we would start playing live, you know, like obviously we were going to do all this thing like Apartment, Lula, Something Wonderful and all that. But after that, like we wanted to add more new songs. And it's like, we had a really tough time sitting down at band practice thinking like, well, no, some people want to do this one, some people want to do that one. And like, yeah, it was really tough for us to pick, but I think, you know, with what we're working on right now, it's the set's been really cool.
Awesome, yeah, because as well, I mean, something that's really, really intriguing about the album as well, in that lyrically, there's a lot of kind of fun, jubilant kind of stuff going on, but there's also some very serious things woven in as well. Was that something that you really wanted to do? Is that something you really wanted to do as a lyricist, in that you kind of wanted to put the two different things against each other, so it kind of made each more powerful? Yeah,
I mean, like even not really even personally, like I think that just comes with like having different people in the band writing different songs, you know, like Andrew wrote a lot of the record, Patrick wrote some, I wrote some. So, I think, yeah, like maybe that's not even an intentional thing. That just comes with like having different people writing the songs, you know, and like, you know, different emotions and different, things that each of us want to write about, I guess. So I'd say it's more just like, yeah, having having different people writing the different songs.
Because as well, you got Caleb from Beartooth on Scatter My Ashes as well. Like, that was really interesting to kind of hear him change up his vocal style for that song. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of been a thing for us where we've always liked having guest vocals. Like, I don't know, growing up, I always thought it was really cool hearing different bands collaborate on stuff. And so, yeah, like from our first release, Hoser, we had Shane Told from Silverstein. On our second release, we had Ian from a band called The Full Blast, which is like, they're like a band from where we're from. So they're not like, it was more like a cooler thing for us, not really like for the fans, I guess. Cause a lot of people, a lot of our younger fans wouldn't know that band. They're a bit of an older band, but for this one, we thought like, yeah, let's try and take a step up, go a bit, farther from the genre and stuff like that. And we were bouncing around ideas and it all kind of felt like easy, like, it'd be easy enough for us to get like a friend to do it, So, I mean, not to say that Caleb isn't a friend, but I meant more like a friend in the scene that we've toured with. And then someone it might have actually been someone from Pure Noise, I can't even remember, brought up having Caleb from Beartooth, obviously. And it was just kind of like, once that was brought up, it's like, oh, damn, that's like a no-brainer. Like, that would be so cool to hear. And also, like, the Beartooth guys are big fans of our band, as we are of their band. So, we've like never toured with them, but we've done like Warped Tour with them. And we've done, they played Slam Dunk when we played. So we've always got to like hang out and party. And so, yeah, I just emailed him asking if it's something he'd be interested in. And he said, basically right away, like, yeah, let's do it. And, it was all like figured out and tracked and recorded real quickly. And, it was really cool for us too. Like, I feel like features aren't really as big of a thing as they used to be, especially like in the like pop punk realm, I guess. So having someone like Caleb from Beartooth, who is like, Beartooth is obviously a very different band from Seaway. So having him come and sing on the song, I thought was really cool. And I think the fans have been reacting really well to it too.
Amazing. Yeah, no, definitely. Cause in that sense as well, and I mean, you're talking about kind of like seeing what you could do kind of beyond the genre and that sort of thing. In terms of Seaway in the future, do you think that this could be, a real movement into that, and that, you kind of go into something completely unique and that you don't fit a certain mold at all? Is that kind of the hope there, especially with how successful Vacation's been?
Yeah, I think that's the idea. Is like we've always had an idea of like where we wanted Seaway to go as a band. Like we don't always want to be the same pop punk band that we were when we started the band when we were 19 years old. Like anything in life, we want to like keep moving forward and keep growing and like obviously we touched upon it in Colorblind, and then like I think we pushed it even forward and kind of honed in on it on Vacation. So I think on like upcoming releases, I think, we've kind of eased the fans in on like where we're trying to go as a band. And I think hopefully with Vacation, I think people are really taking to it. So it's not like we're doing something too like crazy or dumb or like something that, people won't like, So I think like Vacation is definitely a taste of like where we're trying to go with the more like bit more 90s pop rock. Obviously we've always been like a pretty fun band, but more of like the, I guess like you could say like Third Eye Blind, Weezer kind of influence is what we're really riding with right now.
Awesome. That's so cool. I mean, in terms of bringing these songs overseas as well, you've got the UK tour coming up at the start of next year. Like, are you excited to, be taking these songs to places even further away? Yeah,
I'm really excited. Like, to be honest with you, I'm not just saying this because, you guys are a UK publication, but UK is like one of our best markets as a country. So, I mean, every time we come over, like top to bottom, the shows are always amazing, So like, I'm really excited to finally, have this new record out. We obviously had a lot of help from you guys, so I'm really excited to see how these shows go once we get over there in January.
Amazing. Cool. So just to finish up then, like, can't wait for that. And in terms of listening back to Vacation, because obviously, you live with these songs kind of for a good few months now from their inception, like, are you really, really proud listening back? Because it sounds like you guys are hugely proud of this record.
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone has something they should be really proud on for the record, from like drums, guitar, the vocals. Like, I think, I'm like really proud of everyone on the record, like not even just, obviously not just myself. Like, I think everyone, kind of put their all into it, and I think it really shows on the record. You know, like I think. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Yeah, I'm still really stoked about it.
Amazing.
I think that sometimes, you know, like unlike Colorblind, there's like things where we thought, oh, maybe we could have done this differently, or like Hoser as a record. Like obviously that was years ago now, and we're not like losing sleep over it, but we really think that could have been like a really good EP and not like a stretched out record, you know. So you always kind of look back after, you know, as you said, a few months later and say like, oh, maybe we could have done this different, could have done that different. But I think for Vacation, everyone's just like, yeah, this is the record we've really been trying to make for however many years now. So yeah, it's fun. I'm really excited to come over to the UK, and, you know, we're in Canada right now and it's going really well. So it's a fun time right now.
So yeah, absolutely amazing. You cannot slap a label on that band and this album. So good. Jack, what are you saying?
This album is brilliant in every single respect. Like from the first time I heard it, because for me, Seaway have always been threatening to make a really special pop punk album. This album, it's so floaty and summery and expansive. And it's what Ryan said, that it's like they wanted to keep it Seaway, which was this like pop punk sound, which is like how they've built themselves up to be the band they are, but like taking in sort of those 90s kind of feels and like that, like being their own band. And what it's produced is just an album which it doesn't get boring, it doesn't like tire you out, you don't get bored of hearing the songs. Like every single time you find yourself like a week after listening to it, like just buying cereal and humming along to something, or like just singing it when like under your breath when you're like waiting for the bus or whatever. And there's very few albums which like stick to you that vividly. Like there's songs, but like when it's whole albums and you're spraying it across, and I think that's a really special thing. And I think it's the album they need to make. It's the album that they did make.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Neurotic, the second song on this album, I brought it up on the podcast before. Ultimate banger, possibly my song of the year. It's like if Smash Mouth were a boy band. It's such a bop. Tamsin, what are you saying?
I just wasn't expecting that at all. Yeah, like pretty much what Jack said. Like, I remember seeing Seaway when they came over for their first UK tour, and that was like a few years ago now. It was just like a small support slot they had. They were on for like 20 minutes, and I had just like recently discovered Your Best Friend, and I was like, this is a banger. This is really good. This is perfect pop punk. And I bought the EP there and then they've come out with this album which is just like glorious sunshine-filled pop punk. And bearing in mind as well, whilst they were recording it, they had a really crap time. Like half their gear got stolen. Like so many things went wrong that could have just like jaded the entire experience. But instead, they brought out this like really upbeat, fun record, which is, I feel, exactly what was needed for the band. And I feel like now they can go on and do so much more. Yeah,
it's so vibrant as well, with all that in mind. Like anything, you know, an album that references Zach and Kelly from Saved by the Bell, or like Ross and Rachel from Friends, but then can be woven in. I obviously spoke to Ryan about this, but can woven in with more serious things as well. Man, it takes some like new to do that, and like they've smashed it.
And also writing a song which is basically about taking your dog for a walk on the beach.
I remember as well when we first got the record in and we put it on, and they like very, very quietly, and once you hear it you can't hear anything else, but they sneak in the line, the itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini that she wore for the first time today. They sneak that line in, and like I remember Crudge, our ad guy, was just like, hold up, rewind. Did they just do that? And we were like, oh my god, yes they did, because you don't hear it at first. And we were like, oh, they've smashed it. And just from there on out, it's just like, yeah, this is sick.
It's so good.
Basically, long and short of it is, I'm just really glad that people are recognising the band for like how they deserve to be recognised.
Yeah.
And like they headlined the Underworld in London at the start of the year. They're coming back over again, and doing a even bigger UK tour. Like it's just gonna like grow and grow and grow.
Yeah,
and it's very organic as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they're definitely starting to get the recognition that they really deserve now.
Yeah.
Shout out Seaway.
Hugely exciting. Cannot wait. So yeah, big shout out to Ryan for coming on the show. So, Spotify playlists have been updated. Of My Cement are at the top, currently with Warzone. Check all that out. Follow us on Spotify. Our Scuzz TV show is also on daily on Scuzz, so check that out. Let us know what you think. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the socials, and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, and follow us on SoundCloud. Check it all out. Guys, I don't know how it's come to an end, but it has.
Always.
Good time?
It's always a lovely time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't wait to be back.
Yeah.
Again, like I am every week.
It's been good. We will see you next week. Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.